If you're an architect or interior designer, then you're probably familiar with the good old trace. You've definitely used it in school or at work. It's one of those tools that's kind of indispensable in our profession, and likely so with other creatives as well. But guess what? I've stopped using it for a couple years now and replaced it with my iPad 12.9 inch, which I treat as my modern day trace paper. And in this video, I want to share with you 5 reasons why I think drawing on iPad is just as good, if not better. Hi, it's Henry Gao here. I'm a San Francisco-based architectural designer working in residential construction. I also practice as an architectural illustrator and photographer. I know some people are probably going to be a little opinionated about replacing the physical trace with a digital device and probably won't convert themselves. But I'd love to hear from you if you disagree or agree with my perspective. Reason number 1 is I think iPad is your modern day trace paper. There are 2 apps that I use on iPad for drawing and design. One is called Procreate and the other one is called Portfolio Trace. Both apps have the trace functionality, which lets you overlay drawing like you would with a physical trace. But unlike the physical trace where you have no control over the transparency of the paper, the digital app allows you to fully control how much of the background or the drawing that you want to see with a slider from 0 to 100%, much like the layer function in Photoshop. I think each app has their own strength and weakness, and I use them for different reasons too. For example, I use Procreate exclusively for my architecture illustration work because I think the user interface has a nicer drawing experience, better brush customization, and color setting. It's really geared towards digital artists and illustrators. On the other hand, I use Portfolio Trace for my architectural design work because it has more robust tools designed specifically towards architects and interior designers. For example, the built-in scale function is incredibly useful for both drawing in scale and reading drawings in scale. Another benefit of using the trace on iPad is you don't need to worry about aligning your drawings in case your trace paper moves accidentally. When you create a new layer on the iPad, this digital trace is not going to move unless you make it manually. As a result, this will save you some time and hassle, especially if you end up scanning multiple trays and aligning them on top of each other in Photoshop. Sometimes this process takes longer than you think. Reason number 2 is flexibility with editing. Perhaps the biggest reason why I chose to draw on iPad is actually editing and the flexibility that comes with it. If you're not happy with something, you can just undo, erase the part of the drawing, or delete the entire layer if it's that bad. The ability to go back and forth has personally made me a more productive sketcher because I no longer need to worry about making small mistakes so I can draw faster and make my whiteouts in the end. Although I think the same argument can be made by drawing this way could also make you a lazier sketcher because you're not learning from the mistakes of a bad drawing and you become less intentional in the act of drawing. But at the end of the day, if it makes you draw more, whether it's on paper or on iPad, I think that's a win. Lastly, I think this takes away the fear of drawing for many people, which could be an extra barrier that prevents someone from even picking up the pen in the first place because they're too worried about making mistakes. Perhaps that's why some people choose to model instead. Reason number 3 is portability. Nowadays, I take my iPad everywhere I go, like to draw on my bed, on my couch, on my kitchen island. Not being chained to a desk every time you are working is really great. I think this could be my millennial or Silicon Valley mentality, but I just want to work in a bougie coffee shop all day. What makes it even better is not having to carry any drawing sets, trace paper, pens, markers, erasers. It's incredible that the iPad weighs only a pound, so there's no reason not to bring it with you anywhere you go. I guess the only downside to this is if you run out of battery, then you can't work. But then again, if you run out of a 10+ hour battery, you should probably call it a day or just have a spare battery bank with you. Reason number 4 is precision. One serious downside with using the physical trace is the lack of precision, I think. It's probably why we have a scale. But you can only get so close with them, and I find using scale actually a little cumbersome. But what if you had a scale digital grid that you can use to overlay on top of your drawing? Wouldn't that be more useful? So for example, when I designed the plan view, I set each square of the grid to be 1 foot, so I can quickly space plan my design this way. You can also zoom in on the canvas to get a little bit more precise, though not as precise as AutoCAD. But if you're looking for that level of precision during sketching, why are you even sketching in the first place? I find this method extremely helpful when I am planning an interior layout and getting a sense of space by putting some real furniture sizes very quickly, simply by counting the number of squares on the page. Reason number 5 is speed. Traditionally, just when you think you're done with a drawing, you still have to scan the drawing, save it somewhere, post-processing Photoshop, so that you get that perfectly white background.
I know.
I've done all those things myself and for others as well. It's just one of those barriers that's kind of annoying because of the associated work you have to perform afterwards. Or you can just get an intern to do that work for you when you are the boss. But if you produce the work on the iPad, saving and sharing with others couldn't be easier. You can quickly text it to someone in a pinch, email it to yourself, upload it to Dropbox, or just airdrop it to your Mac if you have one. Okay, so those are my 5 reasons. And I know for each of them, a counter argument could be made for why physical trace is still better. But I think that's not really the point of this video. And if you absolutely love physical drawing, don't stop either. There's nothing that will replace the quality of real pencil and pens. I'm just trying to save you some time, which I think we could all use more of to sleep and have life. If you would like to support my work, please subscribe today and click on that like and bell notification button. Cheers. 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 Cheers.